And yes, and how they come about missing him. Now the parents went to Jerusalem every year at the Feast of the Passover, and when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast, and when they had fulfilled the day, they were finished. They returned, the child Jesus tarried. Children tarry a lot. I've heard of one lady say she lost hers in the mall. Couldn't lose mine in the grocery store. My wife couldn't, because my son talked more than me. And when she go into the grocery store, the whole while he walking to the grocery store 2 or 3 hours behind, checking out what he want and talking to her the whole while. Hey, Mom, you remember that man over there? Hey, Mom. You can hear him, everybody in the store knew Champ, because he ain't getting out of her ear sight. She go hear him. She go hear him because he go walk and talk, have a full conversation 3 hours down. When he with me, got to be side by side. And that wasn't good either, because our children and our family, they think they daddy. They don't think he God. They just think can't nobody beat him. I didn't think nobody could beat my dad. And my son thought nobody could beat me. But he'll pick somebody out, look like Hulk Hogan. Dad, can you beat that man? Yes, I can, to him in private. But when they tarried, he tarried and they couldn't find him, then they got frantic, just like a parent do. And they're wondering where he is, because you done lost him. When people lose their children, I know some people, children been missing for years and they ain't found them yet. And then they get so, look like on the TV every now and I look at it, they just looking for a body. I wouldn't be looking for nobody. I'd be looking for my child. If it's 25 years later, I die looking for the child. I ain't looking for nobody. I'm looking for my child. Then I had many songs written about their stories written of those children that if you see my child somewhere, tell him if he don't come home, just write me a letter, because I want to see him. Mary wanted to see Jesus. Joseph wanted to see Jesus. When they found out he was missing, first thing they think, like, what you do now, you thinking the authorities going to get you for being unfit, for losing him in the first place. That's what we thought when our boy was at the grocery store. He didn't know he was in trouble. He just doing what children do. Of course, he was a little bit too little to be going to the store by himself, and needed to save, probably had no money, but he was going on. Jesus was in the temple. He was just like in the church house. He was just praising the Lord and doing not what children do, but what elders do. They have ministers' conference every Tuesday, I believe, over in Ensley, somewhere in this Ensley here, and ministers go there. But I don't think the children go there. If they do, they probably would be in the room where the children at. You know, most churches now got nurseries, playroom, and places for children. They didn't have that back then. They went to the Feast of the Festival, had the Passover, which they celebrate, commemorating the Passover, when the people would put the blood on the doorpost, and God spared all of them. When the death angel came around, I saw it on the movie. Boy, and it was scary, because they told them to put the blood, put the blood, put the blood, put the blood. But when the death angel came around, it was making a funny sound. Ooh. And if you didn't have that blood up there, you was gone. Now, I believe all of the Hebrew children put that blood up there. And they celebrating this here. Same thing we doing today. They're celebrating Jesus till he returned. They were celebrating things then before Jesus. And Jesus was born earlier on in this chapter to come and save the world through a virgin birth, Mary, his mother. Mary was going on about her business, raising her child. We don't know nothing about Jesus from 0 to 12. All we know, he was God's son. And then when he got 12, it's the only mention in the Bible of the lad Jesus. Heard no more else about it. And the only thing, first never heard him say anything or do anything. And when they found him, instead of doing what parents do now, first they scared and hug you and love you and then beat you. All they did was just told him, come on, let's go. And him being with much authority, God's son, he did as his parents told him to do. Said, must I be about my father's business? That will have puzzled me too. Children are puzzling sometimes. Anybody got an exceptional child? I don't brag or boast on none of mine. Never, ever, ever. They do good. As a matter of fact, I tell them not to brag and boast on themselves. If they do good, I'll say something good about it. But I got one 5 years old. He the baby of the 7 grandchildren I got. Not by far the smartest, but he got some sense no other children got. And it's been like a week ago. I call him Tucson. That was my mother's maiden name. Tucson, his name is Lennox. Used to wouldn't give me the time of day, my wife the time of day, and food. Nobody. He was born during the pandemic. But now he'll look at you, but he'll look at you with a scowl. He getting a lot of trouble. He one I ain't never had to lay hands on yet, and hope I don't ever have to. But the other day, I was down there. We got what we call a shop where we keep all our equipment at, and I was working around the shop. Wasn't nobody out there but me and two sons. I don't know where he come from. He was at home though, but he loved to play on tractors. He loved all the things I did when I was a little boy on the same property. He do it. And he just playing, having a good time, climb on the tractor, climb on the truck, jump off of stuff, do some dangerous stuff too. And when I got ready to go, been there about 30 or 40 minutes. I ain't seen Tiger. I ain't seen his sister. I ain't seen his mama or his dad. And I said, where your mama? At work. Where your dad? He said, in the bed. I said, where your sister? Playing with her tablet. What Tiger? He said, over north. I said, you by yourself? Got Jesus. And he was so serious. And something went through me. I said, flesh and blood ain't told that boy that. He said, I got Jesus. And we was talking about it a day later, me and my sister and my son, and he was there in our presence. I said, the boy told me the other day he had Jesus. I told him, who keeping you? Who watching you? He said, I got Jesus. And he said, and he looked at me, he said, I was serious. He ain't crack a smile. He ain't make nothing out of it. He told me he was serious. I said, somebody done told this boy about Jesus. Might have been his grandmama. Might have been his mama or his dad. I don't know whether it's a granddad or not. I don't remember telling him about it. But somebody done told him about Jesus. And Champ said he also used that when he was 3 at the daycare. He was late picking him up. 3:05. And they were fussing at my son about coming late because everybody gone 3:05 and you just not picking this boy up. Said, you can't do that no more. And said, that boy said, I got Jesus. So he ain't just learned about Jesus. Just like Jesus ain't just learned about Jesus. Jesus in the temple, he wasn't only asking questions, he was talking to the elder, speaking with them. Children can do some strange things, some of them. Some of them can stay in their place like they're supposed to be, but some of them are exceptional just like Jesus. Jesus was exceptional because he was God's son. And Mary and them sorrowing in their heart, telling him how afraid they were. They couldn't put emphasis enough on, why did you stay? Why did you do it? Because they could see what he was doing. And he told them, I'm about my father's business. Boy, that's something to tell your mama. Ooh, I couldn't have told my mama that because so she didn't play like that. But I'm God's son too, but he wasn't my earthly father. Joseph, I don't know what kind of way he felt by his son said I was about my father's business. But Jesus done some strange things, and children does some strange things at times. But just think if we don't bring them to the temple, if we don't bring them to the church, if we don't teach them about communion, if we don't teach them about Sunday school, if we don't teach them about the respecting the preacher, the pastor. You know, some people teach them to respect authority, especially black people. Respect police, especially when all of them was white. Respect them. Always do what they say do. Always do what they say do. But we learn to respect the preacher. If the preacher came by, somebody told me in the old days he got the best pieces of chicken in the house. But learn to respect the preacher. We have to teach these children this here. I can't imagine my children not knowing the Lord. The only way they don't know the Lord is if I don't know it. They gonna learn the Lord because they follow people. They follow footsteps. They emulate us. They trust what we trust. I trust what my mama said. It was the hardest thing for her to get me to see that I had to die one day. That was a problem. But she had to some kind of way let me know you was born and you're going to have to leave here. And I said, what about you? She said, me too. I said, Lord, have mercy, I don't want you to die. She said, well, I'm leaving here and you're going to leave here too. And everybody going to leave. You know, we just here for a little while. And John Q on the movie, he didn't want to have to bury his son. He said, I'm going to bury my son going to bury me. And a lot of people like that. You don't want to have to bury your children. You want your children to grow up and raise their children. You know, it leaves something inherited. God left us an inheritance, and that is the temple and the Holy Spirit. Our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. The Lord lives on the inside of us. That's why that boy knew who was watching over him. He saw I was getting ready to go. Matter of fact, I had to make him go in the house. But he knew that Jesus was with him. And didn't crack a smile. Go ahead. Yes. Yes. It does. Yes. Woo. So important. Yes, 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 yes. It is. Yeah, Christian daycare. Mine went to, I don't know where the girls went, but Champ went to Crumley Bethel, and he learned the 23rd Psalm, which was what I learned when I was in kindergarten. My kindergarten right across the street from Edna Duckland. Miss Mattie Cook. She called me Nero. Nero, my God, today. That was my name, Nero, my God, today. But I learned the 23rd Psalm before I ever learned the Lord's Prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I didn't know what it meant. All I knew what it said. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It's making me to lie down in green pastures, restored my soul. He leading me beside the still water. Did not know what it meant. For 50 years, that one of my friends became a preacher, and he was preaching the 23rd song. I said, oh, leading me beside the still water. I didn't know that a sheep didn't like water. I mean, they like water. Everybody like water. Water sustains our life. But that water running, you get in it, you will drown. They're showing people in Texas and other places where flood waters come, water will drown you. And that sheep don't take much for him to drown, plus the wool get heavy. And if he go down, he can't get back up. That's why he got a shepherd. The Lord is our shepherd. He lead us beside the still water for his name's sake, and say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That means we're going to have some situations and we're going to get nervous. One of my boys was with me one day. He was my oldest grandboy, and it was around 4th of July last year, and he saw a lot of people out in the hood with guns. And he called me Big Dog. And he growing up in a white neighborhood, mixed neighborhood. And he said, Big Dog, I'm uncomfortable. I mean, everybody had guns on their side. So they made that the law now. So some reason or another, some of our folks think you're supposed to show your gun. I ain't showing mine. Some of them wear them right there and have them sticking all out their pocket. And he saw him, he told me he was uncomfortable. Now, the folks where he lived probably just as worse as the folks over this side of town, but he thought they don't show their gun. All they show is bicycles, skates, and run and play. But he saw these guns, he said, I'm uncomfortable. I told him I was too. It's too many jokers showing their gun. It's like they're in the cowboy days. But I teach him well. I said, don't worry about it. We're going to be all right. Once we get out from around here, we won't come back to this store no more. And it probably was about a year before he came back up to visit us on the southwest side of Birmingham. He was just through with where I grew up at in Riley Station. He was through with it. All the rest of them will come, but don't worry about them because they trusted me. One night we was riding the 4th of July and we saw somebody with a gun. And last 4th of July, it looked like the guy was pointing the gun at us. He was 13 or 14. His cousin was 13 or 14. She's a female. She wasn't scared a bit because she was with me. That's how I was when I was with my dad. It wasn't nothing in the world I was afraid of when I was with him, but I wasn't always with him. Now, when I was with him, I had to learn how to run. Like people ask me how you run so fast. That's because I was scared of police and white people. I was scared of police and white people because all the police was white. And they always do stuff. Looking at TV can mess you up. I'm looking at TV and what they doing, putting the fire hose on us right down about 6 blocks from where I was, putting the fire hose on and putting dogs on them. You think I wasn't scared of them? But if I was with my dad, I wasn't scared at all. I wasn't scared of no dog, I wasn't scared of no fire hose, I wasn't scared of no police because he was tougher than the police. I promise you, my dad did not play. Police didn't bother him. It's just dad. And that's what T.D. Jakes said, Ms. McCauley. I read a book about T.D. Jakes. He was scared of dogs, and every day they go home, these dogs used to get him in this path where they crossed this hill. And he said one day where everybody ran but him, he couldn't get away. And this German Shepherd, he said this dog was viciously showering down on top of him. T.D. Jakes said he was scared to death and said along came his daddy. He ain't had, I don't know whether he had anything in his hand or not, but whatever he did, he scared the dog off. And he knew then, if my daddy is bad, he said, I got to believe in the Lord because the Lord is anything like my dad. He said when his daddy came, he wasn't scared no more. The dog got scared. That's what God do. He make your enemy behave. He make your enemy your footstool. Make them leave you alone. Anyway, getting back to this lesson, Joseph and his mother knew not of it when he said, when they left him behind. But they figured that he was with the rest of the family. He tearing along, taking his time, because he with the rest of the family. We do that when we go to Disney World, and we go to grocery store, and go to Walmart and Kmart. But I told you couldn't lose Champ because he talked so much, and he talked the whole while. And if she didn't hear his voice, she probably would have looked for him. But he always was just walking and talking. And see, they didn't let Jesus get away. Now they worried about him. And when they find him, he up there with the elders. He with the teachers and preachers. Now ain't no other child around there. This is not a daycare. This is the temple. And they marvel at him. He has so much sense. I've seen some children with a lot of sense. Some of them, they call them genius. I don't know what they are. But even when I was working, when I was going to school, I didn't get real deep into trigonometry and geometry and other stuff, algebra and stuff. But when I got older in my career, they sent me to school to learn how to do trig, which was just like trying to teach me Chinese or Russian or something. I couldn't get it. But I had a daughter probably about 14 years old, got all my lessons for me. She was in school, and I said, Rachel, how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. And she taught me. You can learn from a child. Yeah. Just thank Joseph and Mary. Now, they didn't mention Joseph no more. But Mary was with Jesus at the foot of the cross when he died. They mentioned Joseph no more. But they mentioned Mary because Mary was his mother. Mothers are very, very important in the life of children. They didn't say Joseph missed him. They said they, but actually it was her. Like what Jesus? And then they went looking for him, and on the TV they showed the mama is freaking out because she done lost her son. And I would do the same thing if I lost him. That's a long time. Yeah. When they missing line for 3 days, you think something wrong, they'll run away from home. Yeah. And that's another thing. I ran away from home 2 or 3 times, but by dinner time, they didn't even know that I was gone. I ran away from home one time and just hid out there. I went and looked at the window and they was eating. Go ahead. Yes, 3 days.
Everything happened with him happened in
3
3 days.
3 days. Everything happened. Yeah, Jesus was something else. He in the temple teaching with the elders and listening, talking to the grown folk. Can you imagine having one in here right now teaching? I mean, talking with us. You know there ain't nobody in here under 50, or so to say. Smoke you under 50. But you notice that this was a boy in the temple. And you say, I must be about my father's business. And you talking about people's business. This is another strange story. Merle said I got some stories. I was at a funeral one day. This guy was in and out, being saved. Not unsaved. I don't know where you get unsaved now. But he was doing some things. He'd come back on the front bench and give his life to Christ again. And he did it about 4 or 5 or 6, 8 times. I mean, in like a period of 2 or 3 years. He'll mess up, then God will clean him up, and he'll come back to Christ again. And finally one day, this young man passed away. And at the funeral, the pastor at the time said, I know a lot of y'all wondering, we wonder about folk when they die, especially if they've been living a street life, a rough life, in and out. It'd have been better if he just stayed in jail or whatever, but he was in and out of good and doing bad. And the pastor said, I know a lot of y'all wondering where he at. He said, but I got news for you. God said, mind your own business. You ain't got no heaven and you ain't got no hell. Just because that joker died in prison, or just because he died on the dope house, or just because he died fighting, whatever, you ain't got, that's God's business. And the Lord say, mind your own business. Because we ain't got nowhere we can put nobody. But we oftentimes wonder where they at. I done been to some funerals, oh Lord. But I better be saying, oh Lord, for my soul. Because I don't know where he was with God. We had a joker one day, we took him communion. He was about 70 years old. And the pastor asked him, did he believe God was raised from the dead? And he said, I believe God, but I don't believe nobody was raised from the dead. And the pastor said, you can't partake of this communion because you got to believe that God was raised from the dead. He said, well, Pastor, I'm just being honest with you. I don't believe nobody can die and come back. And we greeted him. He greeted us farewell, and we left the house. He was on his sick bed, and he left. About a week or two later, I said, Pastor, that man who went up there wouldn't accept that communion. He wanted the communion, but he wasn't fit. He don't believe nobody died. He was being honest. Reverend said he was real honest. He said, don't believe nobody can die and come back. And I said, well, anyway, he died. Reverend said, he in heaven. He called me back. The caretaker called him back in his last hour. And he said, Reverend, I believe. That's all they had to do. Just like the man on the cross. How much time he had before he took his last breath? Jesus, remember me when you get to paradise. That shows you that he had faith and he believed in Jesus. The other one say, save yourself and save us. You got folks like that in the world right now. Two kinds, one on each side of Jesus, three of them too. One said, save us and yourself. Now he know he was a crook. The other one knew he was a crook. Jesus was not a crook. He said, just remember me. Jesus said, as of this day, I shall see you in paradise. And that's what I want to do, is see him in paradise. That's what I want to do, is see him in paradise. Where we at on the lesson? Merle ain't here, Rosemary. Few minutes for the second line. Jesus prepares his mission. Jesus was getting ready. He was getting ready. First time he spoke, he said, did you not know I must be about my Father's business? Jesus went about doing a lot of things when he got about 30, 31 years old. But up until that time, we don't know what happened. We knew that his earthly father, Joseph, was a carpenter. We don't know when Joseph died, but we know Joseph taught him what he knew. That's what we do with our children. Now, I'm not trying to make my grandson turn into a man that drives tractors or whatever, but he is associated with tractors and associated with me. Perhaps he might be the next Nero Lawn Service. I don't know. Because they emulate their parents. I would like for all my children and grandchildren to go to college and get an education and do well. But I like to leave a foundation for them. They don't have to go through the same thing that I went through. Jesus taught his parents a lesson. They did not know why he was lost. All they know he was lost. But when they found him, I think the heart of his mother knew that he was doing what he said he was doing. Because there's nowhere mentioned where she slapped him or hit him. You know, black bombers hit. I don't know what white bombers do. They put you in the corner. But the mamas where I grew up, they put something on you to remember. You can remember that real good. I guess we associated with that with being a slave and everything. But Jesus always went about doing good. And at this particular time when he was teaching and learning in the temple, they didn't mention the next year, the next 10 years. They mentioned nothing about it. But all they knew was he said, I must be about my Father's business. Now, I used that in a lot of illustrations, but I didn't actually know exactly what I was talking about because we all must be about our Father's business. Now, my father and grandfather, they ain't have much business, but whatever business they have, I kind of do the same thing they do a little bit. That's why it's good they did what they did. The building that I use to keep my equipment is the building my granddaddy built for my grandmama to run a store. A lot of people come back to the hood from 50 years ago and said, is that still a store? No, it's still a building though, and it still looked like used to be called May Brown. Now it's called Nero Lawn Service, but it's just a building. And Big Daddy built it. 2 or 3 times I started to tear it down. Somebody, don't tear that down, that's a historical landmark. That's something your granddaddy left y'all. That's something your granddaddy left. When your folks leave you something, people leave stuff to their children all the time and they don't give a hoot about it. They might pay their taxes, they might not. I don't want it, I don't care. I do a lot of properties of people who have neglected what their folks left them. And you know back then, folks work hard for their stuff. They work hard for their property and work hard for it, and you get up there and don't care. You have to have some sense of direction. If you got something to leave something, leave it to somebody who's going to take care. Just like my granddaddy taught me, just like David taught, was it Solomon? So I was young, and now I'm old. I was on his deathbed. I yet never seen the righteous forsaken or a seed begging bread. My granddaddy told me that. Listen here, son, listen here. Now, he told me that all my life. My granddaddy taught me everything that I knew. And he didn't read and write, but he knew the Lord. When I say he knew him thoroughly, and he taught me a lot of things, he said, Remember this, because I ain't going to be with y'all always. Remember this, because I ain't going to be with y'all always. Remember this, because I'm not going to be with y'all always. And when he died, he said, remember this, because I ain't going to be with y'all always. Love your mother. Love your grandmother. Take care of your wife. And then he started naming people in his prayer. Taught them how to pray. By sitting up in the hospital with him all night long, just praying and praying and praying and praying. I learned how to pray. I knew the Lord's Prayer, but I learned from listening to my granddaddy talk about, bless your grandmother. That was his wife. Bless your mother. Bless your dad. Bless Ronald, Rachel. He named everybody in the whole family. He just went on and on because he prayed all night long, until he shut his eyes and went on to be with the Lord. I said, you all right now, your big daddy? Because he had gone, he had told me many, many times, I ain't going to be with y'all always. He will in spirit, but he had to go. And that's what David was telling Solomon. And daddies tell sons that. Abraham passed it down to Isaac. Isaac passed it down to who? Jacob. Jacob passed it on down to Job. Job passed it on down. You pass your tradition on. The Lord gave us Jesus because could nobody else do it. Abraham couldn't do it. He told a lie. Jacob told a lie. Isaac told a lie. Noah got drunk. And I can go on and tell you what. I ain't going to tell you what some people did. Some people did worse than that. But the Lord said, I'll do it myself. When he sent Jesus died, Jesus had no lie in it. Some people even try to say Jesus was wrong for staying in the temple. Jesus ain't never wrong. You wrong for thinking he was wrong. How could Jesus be wrong? Who else died for you? Ain't nobody else died for us. Ain't nobody died. Ain't no president of these United States or no other United States. How many has been? 47 of them. Some of them died, but they ain't died for me. My mom and my dad ain't died for me. They died for themselves, but they gave me some instructions to live by. And that's what we're doing today, passing instruction on to our children, to be more and more like Jesus. And I tell you, my 5-year-old know Jesus, we should know him also. God bless you.
That's just the lesson I was going to get up and say, Sister McCauley. They said that at age 12, he knew who he was. He knew that he was, he knew his purpose. So he knew that he had all authority. Yet when his parents told him, come on back here and follow us, he knew more than them. But he was obedient. He was obedient. He followed them. And they said, and he grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. And when you're obedient and you live a life of excellence, people going to see you and notice you and love you because of it. So he grew more and more and he learned more, and that's how we should be. As we learn and treat people right and do what God tells us to do, we grow in wisdom and stature and humility. Okay, anybody got anything else on this lesson? Any more insights on the lesson? Yes. And
although they didn't want to,
they had to. Mm-hmm.
They really had no doubt, and they could not question because he knew too much.
Exactly. And yep. But they knew. Exactly. And we see kids around. I see some kids sometimes with so much sense. They have wisdom. And you wonder, do they know what they're talking about? I wonder if that child knows what she's talking about, because they done displayed some wisdom. Mm-hmm. Okay, are there any announcements? Oh, go ahead, sister. Exactly.
Sure, they had enough wisdom knowing who God was.
Oh yeah.
But for some reason, God did not show it to them.
But he said, I read somewhere that it was just like the disciples. You know, they walked with Jesus, but they didn't have full comprehension of everything. So when he got ready to die, they were still. And so Mary and Joseph were the same way. And they saw this wisdom. It was something they weren't used to. So it kind of threw them off for a minute. But you notice they say his mother treasured all these things in her heart. She kept these things in her heart. And that's what I was telling y'all. A mother knows her child. Yes. And sometimes you can't explain stuff, but you know your child. A mother should know her child. So anyway, do we have any announcements? Any announcements? Any birthdays for the month of July? Everybody born in the month of July, please stand. Nero Brown? Anybody else? Okay. And Champ ain't here, but Champ. Let's sing happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Nero.